Welcome back, everybody.
Oh, look at my little
Yeah, I put the little
panda.
panda. Poke the panda in the corner. Welcome back, everybody, to another Trials Talk, or actually, it's the Trials Community Podcast. We used to call it the Trials Talk Podcast. We kind of switched it up, I think, halfway through doing the episodes. But welcome, everybody. Brad, good to see you back, man. Panda is our special guest of today, the greatest commentator known to the Trials community. Panda, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm great. I just was talking to Panda. He was on a trip, seeing his parents, grandparents in particular. And I've been taking a little break from Trials in general.
Yeah, I have not played Trials really since I guess like T's last tourney is the last time I really grinded it.
Mm-hmm.
I played it a bit during Turkey's like random track session tourney, and I got second in that, which I was pretty happy with. But then since then,
Nice.
I've really barely played.
Very nice, man. Well, it's good to be back. People have been talking to me a lot about doing a podcast again, and it's been on the back of my mind. And so the first thing that I want to get to, it's like why exactly the podcast stopped. And I mean, it was really tough. Like when we were going into the summer of 2019, I just didn't think that there was enough players and enough content, and it was really tough to like consistently talk about what was going on with Track Central, what was going on with speedrunning, because I think that Dave was literally the only reason I was staying on and playing really tough ninja tracks on Track Central, and I didn't even get into speedrunning during that time, which it could have been an opportunity, but it was really tough, honestly, for me, like pushing through 2019 during the summer. It was such a slog, and I didn't feel like there was much of an interest in the podcast and the game in general, and it's tough to say that, and I really want this podcast to continue, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to cover that's happened over the past year. And I'm glad that I have you here, Panda, because you've seen a lot of what's been happening, and you've been commentating and being a part of the community so much more over this past year. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for choosing me to bring back the podcast.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure like what exactly like the time frame I'm going to be having of these podcasts. I want to do it once a month, I'm thinking right now at this time. So the problem that we had in the past is I think we overdid it. We were doing it every other week, and then we started trying to do it like every week, and then it got to the point where we just didn't have enough to talk about, and the game really slowed down. Like there was a good spurt like right after Rising happened, and there was a ton of stuff to talk about. The feeling of the game itself, the general consensus and all that. But then it just plummeted. A lot of people left, but we gained a lot of people as well. We'll be talking about that later on. And yeah, that's I think the general feeling of this podcast is going to be what's happened over the past year, and we're going to be covering a lot of stuff. Hopefully we'll get to everything. I don't guarantee we'll get to everything within an hour, but we're going to try our best for it. One thing that I got to ask you, Panda, about, and I mean, you talked about this before with the speedrunning tournament, but like, how'd you really get into Trials?
Oh, so back in late 2017, for those of you who were playing Fusion, you might remember that it went free on Games with Gold. So at that time, I was just bored looking for a new game to play, so I downloaded Fusion, and that's when I first started playing it. And as I talked about during the Ninja Tourney, as some people might remember, I started off as a FMX main for my first couple months on Trials. I had a world record or two before FMX Zilla took them all.
I just can't
and,
believe
yeah,
that.
I know.
Seriously cannot believe
thought,
that still. It's incredible to me.
Yeah, no, it was really the only thing I found fun. And I think it's because like, competitive nature and like that was the only leaderboard I felt I could compete on at all because it's like the leaderboard no one cared about. Let's be real. So it was not competitive. Um, so I just liked that I could get higher on the leaderboards. But then, as soon as I started actually, getting into actual speedrunning, I really found it super fun. And even though I was never great on Fusion, I really loved speedrunning and trying to get up to 36 mil, trying to break the top 100, and yeah, it's kind of just been speedrunning ever since. A little bit of ninjas here and there, but as most people know, I'm not really a ninja main by any means.
Hmm. Do you feel like with Rising though, have you gotten more accustomed to ninjas, or do you feel like you've gotten even more into speedrunning?
Definitely way more into speedrunning.
Yeah,
So,
I'd say so too.
as as most people feel about Rising, generally the consensus is Fusion is better for ninjas. And on Fusion, especially towards the
I
end of Fusion,
agree.
I did actually have quite a bit of fun playing ninjas, and I got myself up to passing fours, nothing special, but I found it really fun. I was hopping on Track Central every day doing ninjas, but with Rising, I mean, I barely ever go play ninjas on Track Central just for the sake of it, unless a friend of mine wants me to play their track or something. I'll go speedrun tracks all the time, but I really just don't enjoy ninjas nearly as much on this game. Some technical ninjas can be kind of fun, but it's definitely not the same for me. And I'm someone who loves Rising. I'm definitely not a Rising hater, but can't deny the objective truth.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. It's crazy seeing myself play Fusion a lot more over this past month. I really got back into it again. Probably like beginning of June, like right when summer was kicking off. And I just haven't been able to put the game down again. And I've been uh expanding my skill range just like drastically again with Fusion. I felt like I was at a bit of a slog. I wasn't going anywhere. Like right at the start of Rising. And then, for a year straight, I didn't touch Fusion. I wasn't anticipating coming back to Fusion for quite a long time. And then I hopped back on, and there's like so many level 5 tracks that I've wanted to go back and play, and I got inspired by Big Dark Side. He just accomplished 100 level 5s, and I was like, you know what? That sounds like a really good idea. I'm going to try that as well. And so I've been working at a ton of tough 5s, and I've started to pass like more 6s. I finally passed like Academia and Cloudless, even though I was raging super hard the other day trying to pass that track. But it's been a lot of fun, and and it makes me appreciate Fusion way more now that I've taken a big break from it. And like you can't do front wheel, back wheel, and you can't do back wheel only tracks the same way on Rising. Those are the two biggest like types of tracks that will just never they'll never compare. They won't
Yeah.
match ever because
Yeah.
because of like the hitbox that you have this issue on Rising where it doesn't even look like the front wheel is close to hitting the ground, and yet you fail. And then with the front back
Yeah.
wheel stuff, like you can't the bike doesn't have the suspension. I don't think it has as many opportunities to have all these really wacky moves to yeah, to make on there. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
No, I definitely feel the same way. Even when I do choose to do ninjas on Rising, I will not touch front wheel, back wheel. I kind of enjoyed it on Fusion. It was never my specialty by any means, and I wasn't doing high level stuff. But on Rising, I can't stand it. I really can't.
Hmm.
It's just it takes any fun of it that there was away for sure.
And people will say that well, Rising is more realistic, and I agree with that. But to a certain extent, you look at the climbing capabilities of the bike, and you just climb miles upon miles. And I got really tired of that with a lot of Dave tracks in particular on Rising. He really goes overboard with like these climb tracks, and then you look
Yeah.
at Fusion, and you're like, yeah, I can climb this, but it's gonna take me like dozens upon maybe hundreds of tries to like get the throttle just right, and it feels so much more accomplishing when you
Yeah.
actually get that type of throttle control down on Fusion. It's uncomparable, and yeah, Yeah, there's
Yeah,
been
for
I think a
sure.
lot more people coming back to Fusion.
Yep.
There's been so
Yeah,
many
I've
people trying it out.
yeah, I've noticed that for sure. A lot of the ninjas are going back to Fusion. A lot of even the guys who I kind of more associated with being Rising ninjas, people like Rev. You know, I feel like he kind of started on Rising. Now he's going passing a bunch of fives on Fusion, and even some lower level guys like Taylor. I know he's been switching over,
Yeah, I've
doing a
seen
bit on
Civ.
Fusion.
Civ as well has been on the leaderboards.
Oh, has he?
Civ
Nice.
XD, yeah. Yeah, he's been on there as well. And I mean for good reason. The bike just it feels so good again. And that there's something about it. It's hard to describe. You just have to feel it for yourself, honestly.
Yep.
Do you think that you'll play any Fusion when you get back into trials again?
Um, maybe. As I've said, ninjas have never been my passion, I guess, in trials. They've never been what I find most fun, and I do really prefer the speedrunning in Rising over Fusion. There were a lot of things about Fusion speedrunning that I was not a huge fan of, and in Rising, I really do enjoy it quite a bit. Even some of the things that a lot of people dislike, like the magnet meta or whatever, the very thing that ruins front wheel back wheel, I actually I enjoy that meta in speedrunning at
Hmm.
times. It can be pretty fun and looks pretty clean. But yeah, if I ever chose to get into ninjas, I know at the beginning of this year I had set a goal for myself that I would try and pass my first six. And I don't know, maybe if I actually decide to achieve that, I would go back to Fusion and try and learn that game and get better.
Definitely, dude. Another question I got for you is how the hell are you such a good commentator? How do you do that? You do I swear, are you like an auctioneer or something? Like you work
No,
at an auction before?
people have been saying that. No, I was surprised that people liked me as a commentator because I kind of just so Wick had this idea of doing a tournament for lower level players, and I thought that it sounded like a really cool idea because I wasn't a fan. You know, obviously, you know, the best tournaments are always going to be the ones with the highest level players, but you know, when there's a tournament like that, a lot of the lower level players are like, yeah, I want to do that. That looks really fun. So I was totally on board for it. So I sort of helped Wick set it all up, and then he just asked if I wanted to be on the call with him, and I was like not sure what to do, but I kind of took the lead role, I guess, in
Dude,
the
you took the
commentating. It
reins and you fucking
worked out.
ran with it. Like you are it's such an amazing commentator. It is scary.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I think everybody here can attest to that and say just you got to be in every single tournament from now on, like at least one day commentating,
Yeah,
really bring them
yeah.
in.
I've tried to be in as many as I could.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point with Wix tourney, and this is a big turning point for me with speedrunning. Um, I never enjoyed speedrunning for the past 3 years of playing trials. All I did was just track central on Fusion for a couple of years, and then I grinded it out as much as possible. A lot of Dave tracks, as I said before, on Rising, and then Wix tourney rolls around, and then I'm just like sweating my ass off. I'm just like 100,000% focused like on speedrunning, and it was the most fun I've ever had with speedrunning.
Yeah,
And
man,
I
you did so well. I mean, if Vox, who you know whether or not he should have been in that tournament was kind of questionable. If he hadn't been there, you would have won. And I mean, you did great, especially considering if I recall correctly, you had to play Fusion the same day, so
yeah,
you
I
had
did it
to
earlier
go
in the
back and
morning.
forth.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of crazy.
yeah, but you know that's it's just what I do. I play trials so much, man. I'm a sucker for the trials life. It is the life I have chosen. But yeah, man, what do you think? What do you think
Yep.
of all these tournaments going on? Like this is such a huge accomplishment, I think, for the community.
I
The amount of
I
support that
have
we've had.
I have absolutely loved it. I mean, as I had named my montage for all these tournaments, the revival of Rising, I really saw it that way because kind of what you were talking about, Rising dying for a long time. Right after the second DLC came out, Crash and Sunburn, it's like the game just died. I mean, it was so dead. In the world record Discord, I think we had like 2 world records in something like 4 months. It was crazy.
Wow.
I mean, there was absolutely nothing for so long, and then somehow, you know, uh, he brought up that, hey, I really want to do another one of these tourneys, and then out of nowhere, everyone started coming back. Everyone was playing. It was super active, and then we just had tourney after tourney, and the game was just full of life for a solid 6 months there. So I'd say it's unfortunately slowing down a bit now again, as the tourneys are coming to a close. But the tourneys really bring life to the game. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the same tracks, but when we get that kind of that esports feel and something to cheer on, something to watch, it's really something to bring the community to life, and it's
Yeah. I think
yeah, I love the tournament.
the format that was used, it was perfect for the when it started with T's tourney.
Absolutely, yeah,
Doing the one-on-one 10-minute sessions is like that is I think that's the sweet spot, and being able to
yeah,
show both of the gameplay at the same time, and
totally, yeah.
yeah, comparing and
So
contrasting
because
scores or times.
I'm sure you remember, you were a part of the very first Rising tourney, the one that I hosted, and that type of format of sessions never even came to my mind. I just wanted to use what we have, which was MP, and even though I was happy, I suppose with how it turned out, obviously it had a lot of issues. Some due to the fact that Rising's private multiplayer is somewhat horrendous, to say the least.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
was actually
no
looking back.
timer, spectator, all of it's just rough, man.
Dude, I was looking back at the Blaze JP when he was commentating and hosting uh that one, and like the
Yeah.
spectating mode, it's just horrible. It's so
Oh, it
bad. It
is.
doesn't keep up with like either of the riders. It was like split in between. It was classification and Borads or something like that. And Classy took the lead, and it was like stuck in between, like looking at kind of both of them from like the peripherals, like on like
Yeah.
both sides of the screen. It
Yeah.
just looked it looked
No,
really
it
sloppy.
it has so many problems. And then on top of that, like the fact that there's not a timer in multiplayer in a racing game, I can't understand the reasoning behind that. So nonetheless,
Yeah.
when T first told me of his sessions idea, I was a little bit skeptical, but it has been phenomenal. I mean, it is absolutely the sweet spot of what trials tournaments should be. It really brings out true skill. There's none of that randomness that you get from the multiplayer. It is just pure skill, and it's really fun to take part in, fun to watch, fun to commentate. It's just everything about it I love.
Yeah. Jetta was asking in the chat, any thoughts on a tournament for like I guess people lower on the leaderboards, like at the 5,000 range, for people who can't really participate in any of the NAT's sessions. And I thought of um, Sonic's Turkeys tournament.
Yeah,
There's a lot of lower level people for that. I think that's probably been the lower end of a tournament that I've seen with trials, and I absolutely believe that that should be happening, and
yeah,
promoting people to like push even if they're a lower ranked person, and really strive for improving no matter what rank they
yeah.
are.
Yeah, for sure. And for real quick, for those who don't know, the only difference between turkeys tournaments and wits and tees is in wits and tees, obviously, you play a track, or in wits case, you play three tracks, and then whoever has the fastest time is first seed, and then the top 16 are accepted. In turkeys tournaments, there is absolutely no qualification whatsoever. It's just first come, first serve, and I believe he allows up to 64 people in his tournaments, which is crazy, but they do take a long time. Usually his tournaments take between like 4 to 5 weeks, and they only take place on weekends. But it gives anyone and everyone who signs up, a chance to experience what the session format feels like, how to take part, and even if you're at rank 5,000, you're probably not gonna make it super far in the tournament, but you can still experience what it feels like to be in the tournament, and it could maybe, drive you to want to make that improvement so that you can start doing well in them.
Yeah, there's some people that I've talked to, Haunted Army in particular. He talks about how nervous he would get during Wick's tourney, and it's just all about exposing yourself and trying to having more opportunities to play in those environments. And I think Sonic's Turkeys tournament is like a great would be a great place to be, no matter what level,
Yeah.
and get you
That is
comfortable.
actually one question I have for you. How do nerves usually feel for you during tournaments?
It's rough on the first day, and then I feel very accustomed to it, and I feel comfortable, and like, I don't have the tappy throttle, and I feel like I can uh really focus on the game and not worry about everything else going on. I just play naturally. Just
Yeah.
just play. Just be as natural as you can be. If you've been playing for a long time, you just play. It's as simple as that. You don't really have to stress it out too much.
Yeah,
But
for
but,
sure.
but definitely the first day of both the Fusion tournament and for Wix tournament, I was very stressed out. And I think the first day it can be really competitive because people have the most time of practicing on those tracks on the
Yep.
first day, compared to everything else. So, it was really rough. The first day for me, I was against Haunted Army, and I think I lost by like point 0.1. It was a pretty close one, and
Mhm.
it definitely pushed me. Like that tournament, after it happened, I went back. It was Hard Hat Zone that I was playing on Rising, and I went back and I got the diamond on that one finally, and then I started working on more diamonds, and I had a goal of this year is I want to get diamonds on all the tracks. However, recently I've been playing more Fusion, to be honest, and I haven't had as much motivation and drive for Rising. But I think with the new building competition that I have going on, if you guys haven't heard of that yet, I have a summer build competition that's going to be at the end of this month. I'll have a stream on the 31st showcasing all of the speedrun lines. It's just going to be easy through extreme, no ninja types of obstacles. And from that tournament, I think it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. I want to make sure people have enough time for this. But I also want to do a Track Central speedrun tournament. And I'm hoping,
Yeah.
and tying this all back together, I'm hoping that putting together this Track Central speedrun tournament will inspire me and a lot of others to like grind out more speedrunning for the career as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean the Chart Central speedrun tournament, that is something that a ton of people have been requesting for a long time. I feel like there are a lot of people that we see like Capitan Biceps or Civid who or Nikad, all these guys who are phenomenal speedrunners, but you absolutely never see them in career. And I don't know exactly why that is, but tournaments like that would give them, their time to shine, really show what they're made of, and kind of let them be known to people how good they really are.
I think this is a good opportunity to show the longevity of how much you can invest into this game with Track Central. Because I think a lot of people, there's a good chunk of people that probably toss it to the side after they're done with either beating the extreme tracks or like maybe they're getting into ninja tracks and then they don't really keep up with what's going on with the user created content. And that's the whole point I think of having my Ninja Central type of tourney as well. I want to promote more of the creativity and the drive to actually push this game, you know, further on. Not just with speedrunning, but with the building side of things. I think it's huge.
Yeah, for sure. And if you did something like that, I'd be happy to maybe try and make a track for it.
That'd be great. Yeah, I love that. Oh, and another thing I wanted to hit on, like why the game. I think it slows down a lot more during the summer. Also, is what I wanted to go back to. Just really quickly, I think there's a lot of people going out on vacation. There's a lot of people. I mean, right now, I think a lot of people are stuck inside, and I love what's been going on with the sessions tournaments. It was the lockdown sessions that
Yep.
that was really good for people that were mandatory to stay inside with everything happening with the COVID-19. I don't want to go too far into that, but yeah, I think it's one entertainment platform to like really have people come together and not drive themselves absolutely insane. So it's nice to have these things.
Yeah, for sure.
So to talk about what's been happening over the past year, we've hit on the tournaments has been huge. What do you think are some of the other biggest accomplishments, like in your personal opinion, that have happened over the past year?
Like in Rising or just in Trials in
I
general?
think trials in general. Like, what has really stood
Um,
out to you that everybody should know about if they haven't really kept track of
well,
stuff?
for starters, for sure, Stotts, Zero Fault on Black Belt. I'm sure if you're at all invested in Trials, I'm sure you've heard of that. I would say that's one of the most memorable things, if not like to someone who maybe doesn't follow it as much. Even that's just such a insane accomplishment that Stott is. He's the only person in the world that can say he has zero faulted every track in Trials Rising.
Yeah,
That's,
he's
I
got
mean,
the
obviously, like,
perfect ninja score
yeah,
for Rising now.
yeah, and that's crazy to me. I mean, after passing Black Belt, I can't even imagine zeroing it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
there was a big grind for it too. There's a lot of people like Plop was coming back and trying it out. I don't know if GT4 was trying it out. I didn't see RJ come back and try it. I think RJ would have been great to see him back on it, but it was cool that Scott was really pushing towards it.
yeah. Then in terms of other huge accomplishments, I mean, you have to you know, I feel like in Rising, it might be time to admit that the era of Class C or GT4 has ended, and it is Nova dominance. So in all three of the tournaments,
Yep.
we've seen Nova win, and not even just win. I mean, it hasn't been close.
The
If I
three timer.
recall, I mean, and not only has he won 3 times, he's never even lost like a game. He's lost a singular track before, like he lost toxic behavior to Classy, but he has never lost. And yeah, I mean Nova's dominance on Rising is crazy.
Nova's like, oh yes, stroke the ego, yes, even more. Thank you. Oh goodness gracious. Oh,
Yeah.
he's really getting
No,
off
but
on
I
this.
mean for real, he has really been crazy on Rising, and the fact that he's won all of them with really no close competition just shows kind of how far ahead he is. Then
Yeah,
so I feel like I'm not as in touch with what's going on with Fusion. Obviously, I don't play high level ninjas, but I mean, just as a spectator who's not as easily involved, to me, one thing that's crazy is I feel like we've gotten a lot of new level 8s. Like, to me, one person Key, his improvement to me has seemed insane. I mean, I remember people talking about his improvement being insane when he led past a 6. Now he's passing an 8 like 6 months later or something. I mean, he just seems absurd. And then Penny was passing level 8, and now we got RJ grinding again, and he's been playing that new track. I forget
it's
what
called
it's called, but
Final
it's that
Sorrow, the
new
the new slick track.
Final Sorrow. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been playing that, and that's what a questionable level 9, right?
yeah. According to Slick, yeah, it's like getting into that range of a possible first level 9. I'm not too sure about like what RJ has said about it or anybody else trying it out or what Key said. But going back to Key really quick, um, I think Key is by far the fastest improving player to ever be on trials, like
Yeah,
by a
that's
mile.
crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was really impressed. I mean, this track is super boring to me, but you know, Infinity, that track that Dave made.
yep, yeah, yeah.
Apparently he didn't time out on the full once.
Really?
He played the plus CP. He beat that on the first try. He did the plus CP. He beat that on the first try, and then he goes into the full and just passes it. Like,
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
what
That's
more do
so
you
crazy.
need for consistency with back wheel like climbing control? There really isn't any more that you could do with that, and it's cool to see. Another track that just appeared on Fusion. I think that this is a pretty big achievement. There's a track called Victorious, and I was showing that off in my stream actually. The last couple of times I've been on Fusion, it was made by Ryan LaBelle, and it's inspired by Odious. This was a track that was never completed by classification, and it is insane. Just looking at all of the checkpoints, it's a back wheel only type of track where it's like the most precise back wheel climbing control you could ask for, and it's really
Yeah,
impressive looking at these replays of Key do it. And I'm sure I don't know what I'm pretty sure it's going to be a level 8. I would imagine is what Key would say with it. But Ryan LaBelle has also became uh, I think a very high level builder. Um, he made a couple of tracks on Rising that were really fun. I think they were the level 4 tracks, but Ryan has been pushing like more fusion oriented, and he also came out with a track called Murderous that looked crazy. I think he posted a plus CP video of that one. I don't know if he ever. I asked him if he was ever gonna pass the full version, and he said the last two checkpoints were just absolutely insane. But
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, Aris, should you task it, you should check out this track called Victorious on Fusion. It's pretty crazy.
And then if I were to talk about one other person who's improved a lot, this isn't Fusion Ninjas, but I feel like it wouldn't be fair to talk about Rising and speedrunning without mentioning Jin, because at the beginning of Rising, he was not a world record contender, in my opinion. In fact, I remember him messaging me on Discord when he was, I think he was going for soul searching or something. It was like the first record he'd gotten in the game, and then kind of out of nowhere, he went from getting a record here and there to now having the second most records in the game, and he's only like 5 behind Nova or something. I
Yeah,
mean, his
that's crazy.
improvement on speedrunning has been insane for sure.
I
He
saw.
kind of, yeah.
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say he came out of nowhere, in my opinion, with speedrunning. I had barely even heard of him, and then he went from barely even hearing of him to being easily S tier, up with the best.
Yeah, I was really shocked to see. I mean, the diamond percent run is like very impressive to me, and being that
Yeah.
consistent. I watched T uploaded that video of Jin basically getting the world record. I think the only other person to do it was Nova, if I'm not mistaken. Who
So
else did the
that would have
diamond
been
percent
true.
run?
That would have been true if we had done this last weekend, but actually just in the last week, Jitters completed a diamond percent in
Oh,
6 hours, which is a respectable time
I
for
mean,
sure.
just even
It's
completing it first of all is
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so Jitters, he gave it one attempt last week and he got it first try, 6 hours, which is definitely a respectable time in my opinion. If I was to do it,
That's really
that's
good.
more or less the time I would aim for. But nonetheless, yeah, the diamond percents and the consistency, even to me, I consider myself a pretty decent speedrunner, and I cannot imagine having that level of consistency
So
that Jin seems to have
could you
with those
describe?
tracks.
I'm not really sure what the diamond percent consists of. Could you tell us really quickly, like what comprises that?
Yeah, so essentially, a diamond percent consists of doing all base game trials tracks, beginner to extreme, and getting a diamond medal on them. And the only rules in terms of orders that you have to start in like the order of leagues, and then like you have to complete one league before moving on to the next. So say you like start with that beginner one in America that has like Breaking Bad, Happy Camper, then you move on to the next one in Europe that has like Windmills, Scotsman, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy. I think someone can correct me on this. I want to say it's like 78 tracks that you have to get diamond on. And a good amount of those are pretty easy, but there are some pretty hard ones in there.
I don't think
And
I
I mean,
would
I've
even be able to
ran
start
plat
it.
percent a good amount, but
Yeah. I don't think I'd
yeah,
be able to
well,
start
that's
the
what's funny.
Happy Camper. Like I still can't get a diamond on that track.
Yeah, well, that's why people do start on Happy Camper. I know Jitters, it took him something like 45 minutes to get diamond on Happy Camper, and then once he got that in like the next 45 minutes, he got like another 20 diamonds or something. To give you an idea of how hard Happy Camper is.
Yeah, it is super difficult. Oh boy. But I want to keep going down the list of like these writers and builders. Also, I want to mention that have I think really making a name for themselves over the past year. Going back to more speedrunning oriented stuff. I don't remember this builder that much, but I believe they made some very good stuff on Fusion. Amorphous, in my eyes,
Oh
is the
yeah.
greatest speedrun builder on Rising. And
Not even just Ryzen, Fusion too. If you
was it
didn't
with Fusion as well? I don't think
on
I remember that
yeah,
many.
on Fusion he had like 40 or 50 tracks, and back in the day, when I was terrible with the game, when I first was like trying to think of building a track on that game, I would go and just play through all of his tracks because his deco on Fusion was phenomenal. His speedrunning lines were amazing. He has always just had a gift for deco somehow. He's the Zach of speedrunning
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
is definitely. And I'm not sure, Aris, if Amorphous is building for the competition. Um, I imagine he might. I haven't heard. Actually, wait, no, he is. He is. I totally forgot. I spaced it out. He came out with like a teaser trailer on Reddit, so he is building one.
Yeah,
And I
that
believe,
Eiffel Tower one. It's
yeah,
crazy.
I believe he's going through a bunch of different vacation spots. Is like the theme that he's going with. That you're
Oh,
gonna be
really?
yeah, that you're gonna be teleported to like a bunch of different vacation areas.
It's crazy.
Is yeah, what he's gonna be going with. So yeah, you guys got some stiff competition. If you guys are building for my summer build competition at the end of this month, then Amorphous already won one of the competitions. He won the Trials Rising anniversary competition, and yeah, he won it with a speedrun, like a medium line called Rust, I believe it was called. So yeah,
Yep.
he's a very very good builder. A lot of people dislike when cameras are adjusted, but he does it in a way where it's like it's cinematic and it's really smooth with the driving line.
Yep. No,
So
I've never
yeah, shout
played
outs
an
to him.
Amorphous track with any obstacle or anything that I was like, man, I really hate this. I've never felt that. I feel like with his tracks.
Yeah, yeah, and another aspect that I've really enjoyed with Amorphous with the last few lines are how hard the diamond medals are. I think Amorphous is a very good speedrunner because of the times that he's set, and it wasn't that way at the beginning of Rising, but I don't know if I maybe impacted that at all, or if somebody else maybe talked to him about it, but yeah, like having really tough times and having a competitive leaderboard like that is really fun to see on Track Central.
Eh. Yeah, I mean, I agree that most of his diamonds weren't hard, but if you take one like Neo New York, which was a week one track, I want to say that track did have a pretty. It felt like a career level diamond time.
Yeah,
And then I would say that Neo New York is probably the most competitive speedrun leaderboard in all of Chart Central.
I think it's the
Both
most played
PJ and
one.
Marple have insane runs on it.
I think
Yeah,
I
most
think it has the
played,
most
definitely. I
played
mean,
and the highest ratio of
yeah,
upvotes on it too. Pretty sure.
and the top 10 on it is like, it's the top 10 you would expect to see on any
Well,
leaderboard.
I think
PJ, Nova,
yeah,
all of them.
we can expect that track to be in the Track Central speedrun tournament for sure. I think you guys will be seeing that anywhere. Not sure what round yet, but it'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah,
On to the next
sounds
person.
good.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about Faraz. So their name used to be Axini or Axinu. I think they changed their name a couple of times. They just changed it to Faraz recently. So Faraz is the only person I've seen on a lot of Dave's
Oh,
tracks, like
yeah.
passing with me. And the most impressive thing that I've seen from Faraz recently is they are a god tier Tevatron rider. And I know that this bike looks like a meme. I don't know how he does it. Faraz is just incredible. If you guys want to see some like absolutely incredible Tevatron riding, then check out Faraz's runs because he's pretty much zero faulted like all the extreme tracks with it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't ever remember. Does anybody in the chat remember seeing Axinu, on like the Fusion days? Because I just remember a lot of Dave tracks on Rising. Raz has been there.
Yeah, I never knew him from Fusion, but yeah, I mean, pretty much any ninja for that solid year or so that you were playing the game, it was like you and him,
Yeah,
like on every track,
yeah,
and that was it.
exactly. Nobody mentioning T with the shopping cart. That is a good thing to mention. I think that was another outstanding moment that we've seen this year. Is T got a record on
Yep.
Canyon Crash?
Didn't just get a record, he obliterated it. He has record by like 1.4 seconds or something on a track where record was only 1.4 seconds away from Diamond. So he has,
With a
yeah,
glitch
that,
with a glitched
yeah.
run too.
Yep,
Something getting
he
flung
beat
across the
Steve
track.
Cod. Yeah, which by the way, that they got rid of Steve Cod. If Red Lynch, if any of you are listening, I'm disappointed in you for that one. You don't get rid of the cheaters, but you get rid of Steve Cod.
They got rid of Steve.
Sad
When did they
thing.
get rid of Steve Cod?
Yep. On the update where they like took out a bunch of the glitched people, they took him off too.
Oh
Which
no,
sad day.
that is a very sad
Yeah.
day. Rest in peace, Steve Cod. We will remember you.
Yeah.
That must have been a 1 in a million chance.
Yeah, no, Blubby asked Blubby. Apparently, Blubby says he knows how the glitch worked, and they patched it on like day 2 or something. So, yeah, apparently it was doable on like very early on in Ryzen, and no more.
That's too goofy. Um, another honorable mention. I want to say is Civ. We already said Civ XD. I think Civ XD is like a very good up and coming speedrunner in Rising. I heard that Civ actually just got the DLC. He was like barely, it's like almost in the top 100 without even having DLC, which is super impressive to me. And Civ has been popping off and been passing and getting diamonds like pretty consistently.
Yeah, if I could also talk about diamond percents. If we want to talk about big improvement, Jitters. When he started Rising, he was a gold medal player going for platinums, and now he's doing diamond percents. He's top 10 in the world. I mean, he has been a massively improved speedrunner on Rising.
Yeah, absolutely. Stranger, you missed the first 15 minutes. Could you ask us about the speedrun ninjas? Not sure what you mean, Stranger. And you can always check out the VOD too if you guys miss stuff. Always head back. I'm also going to be posting this to YouTube on my channel. If you guys want to check that out there, you're always welcome.
Speedrun ninjas as in like speedrun god and that type of thing?
I mean, I'm always up for the speedrun ninjas. If we have speedrun god, speedrun pro, speedrun goat, and whatnot, like the track that started us all off, and you know, Panda's track was really good as well. The speedrunning. I can't. What was it?
Yeah.
What was the name of yours?
Test of Time.
Test of Time.
Test of Time. Yeah, I would love to see more people make them, because I only even made mine because who was it? Nudget made some short speedrun ninja that kind of made me realize, like, yeah, we don't have any of these on Ryzen, so I wanted to make one. But please, if anyone else wants to make one, I absolutely love speedrun ninjas. They're a blast. So
yeah,
someone else should make one.
Yeah, they're in a totally different category from everything else. It's they're very hard for me, and I really like. That's another reason that I enjoyed speedrunning was your track Tested Time, actually. That got me into speedrunning even more and getting me used to the feeling.
You that grind on it.
Yeah.
A couple timeouts, right?
Yeah, it was a tough grind for me. Yes, sirree.
Yeah.
A couple more people that I wanted to talk about before we move on here. Wa or Yu, you know, however you pronounce that name. He has become an excellent ninja builder, an excellent ninja player. I want to see way more tracks from him. My two favorite tracks being that front wheel back wheel track Space Glass, and Back and Forth 2 is another one he just came out with. Back and Forth 2 is an excellent idea of a track. You go, you know, all the way to the right of where the driving lane is, and then you have to go backwards again throughout the course, throughout the map, throughout the trail, not the track. But yeah, really good tracks from him. I've been enjoying it. Keep me on the ninja grind for Rising. And one more builder that I wanna recognize is Tackworn. This is a builder that I don't know if I've seen this builder on Fusion as well, but Tackworn has very consistent ninja lines, and I've grinded out so many tracks from Tackworn. Usually it's in the range of like ninja 2 to 3, I'd say. So if you guys are in that range, look up Tackworn's tracks. I believe it's a Japanese builder, and it's simplicity at its finest. I tell people, you know, you don't have to work months and months on doing decoration. If you have a solid pattern, if you have a good backdrop, like it doesn't need that much, and Tackworn nails it with those builds. Definitely. Have you tried out any of those tracks by Tackworn? Does that name ring a bell?
The name doesn't ring a bell. I might have played some of his tracks. I mean, I've played a good amount of the tracks on TC, but I can't say the name rings a bell.
We had one track from TAC Warren in that Ninja tournament. It was the Kawaii Zone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
That
that's
I was terrible at that track, but yeah, it was a good line. I'm just speedrunning Ninja is not my forte.
yeah. Oh, actually, I forgot
No,
one other
it's
person.
a solid line though.
Yeah, I forgot one other person. Hitman Kiri. Uh,
Oh yep.
in that same vein with TAC Warren is simplicity at its finest, and a lot of Ninja tracks. I'd say a lot easier, I think, compared to TAC Warren's, but definitely more of the like speedrunning oriented ninjas with Hitman.
Yeah.
So
And
gotta give the
real
shout outs to
quick,
them.
so long as we're on the topic of the Ninja tournament you hosted, I also want to talk about Inferno Trials
Mm,
because he, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated players on Rising. Because I can't really say I don't know if he's super improved because everyone I've talked to has said he was like a goat on Evo and he was like the king of speedrunning TC back on Evo. So he's been around for a while, but he is just past me on Hall of Fame. I think he's like sixth now on Hall of Fame, and he only has
really?
like 300 hours played or something. Yeah, he's top 10 now. He's almost top 5. And
Wow.
it's not even like he grinds career super hard. He's just super well rounded. I think he just got 6 faults on black belt the other day as well. He is a incredibly well rounded and, in my opinion, underrated player. I never really hear anyone talk about him, but he is a very, very good player.
So I talked about this actually for the Ninja tournament, but quick backstory on Inferno Trials actually coming to the Ninja tournament that I hosted. I was actually trying to get in Inferno City into the tournament, and I swear I thought they were the same person. And I messaged Inferno Trials. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're not talking about the same person though, but I'll join anyways." And I'm so glad that he did. And I don't know if that's helped bring Inferno Trials back, because I really hadn't seen Inferno Trials too much beforehand. But I thought that was a funny little way to get
Yeah.
Inferno to join. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, and then in the Ninja tournament, of course, he did phenomenal. I mean, in my brackets, I didn't really know anything about him, so I think I had him doing pretty poorly. I think I had him losing to, I don't know, someone pretty early on, and then he just, in my opinion, it was no competition. I mean, him and Marple were pretty far above everyone else in terms of speedrun still there. And then he gave Marple a real run for his money. I mean,
yeah, he took
I
a
would say
round
that it
from
was
Marple. He was the only
I
one.
would say it was closer between him and Marple than it was, in some of the games that we saw him in, like Nova and Classy in the
Yep.
finals of the sessions tourneys. I mean, and even so, he could have taken 2 rounds off him, but if you recall correctly, he had that really unfortunate choke on that Todd track that I
Yeah,
know
that ending was so
yeah
it's questionable ending that
yeah.
we'll all be remembering the end of that.
Yep, and Stranger, he Inferno would have gotten record on that one run, but he unfortunately lost it to that overhand. So sad stuff.
Yeah, thanks for bringing up Inferno Trials. I actually didn't I didn't even think of that one. But yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
that
he
deserves
absolutely
be up
he
there.
deserves it. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I want to talk a little bit about the Gigatrack. I want to talk a little more like recent stuff that has happened now. Um, what have you tried out the Gigatrack? You've seen it
Yeah,
probably.
I got a chance to play it one time before this podcast. I got home and I've played it once. I got platinum, and yeah, so I I can't say I have a huge amount of experience on it, but I've seen Nova speedrun it quite a bit, and I've talked to him quite a bit about the line. So I kind of I mean I know mostly I know pretty much most of the stuff about it. I feel like.
So are you a huge fan of these Gigatracks, like these 50 plus types of tracks, 50
Um,
plus
I
CPs?
like I liked the concept of long tracks. But the one problem that they can generally come with is that you're not going to get 15 minutes of a super fun technical line just by the nature of how long it is. You're going to kind of get these roller coaster type of things,
A
which
lot of
generally I'm
coasting.
not a huge fan of roller coasters. And yeah, I mean my one time playing Gigatrack, I can say it's fun. It has a lot of very fun parts, especially the ending is very fun. But like it just has so many of these coast time savers that are totally reliant on RNG. and tire glitches, and it takes away a lot of the fun of the track because as fun as the line could be, it's just totally reliant on tire glitches and just hoping that you don't get fucked over by random shit. So yeah.
Now I understand the whole concept of this is supposed to be an endurance, and it's like it's a throwback to Evo. I appreciate all that stuff, but like that is just it's not trials to me. I've never been a huge fan of the Gigatracks. The only ones I could really stand behind are the ones that are ninja related with very technical stuff that requires so much consistency. Um, One actually I just beat was back on Fusion. It was the Giga climb that Dave made. He had a couple different versions of it, but those are the ones that I really stand behind. I feel like Trials is more. It's supposed to be short, bumpy lines that require more technical skills than just roller coaster, lean forward, huge jump, time save. Like
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
It's just
it never feels worse in trials than when you're at the end of a track. Usually, 40 seconds in, you get a tire glitch and it ruins it. But it's like, oh well, it was 40 seconds. I mean, it feels bad. But now you got this track where there's a huge coast time saver 12 minutes in, where you just gotta hope or wherever it is. It's it's within a minute of the ending. So you do the entire track, then you got one last bless RNG you gotta hope for. And yeah, it really does take some of the fun out of it. But at the same time, I mean, I'm the same as you. Like, actually, my favorite type of ninja, personally, and kind of like what I did with K2, is these really long, like level 3 to 4, like hill climb tracks.
Mhm.
Those are like my favorite ones because it is kind of that endurance thing. But with the speedrunning, I think it could be done well. Like, if someone who really understands speedrunning and really would care enough to put in the effort to make a good line, I think it could be fun. I mean, because, then it really does just become a consistency test of how long can you go while just speedrunning really, really well. So I'd like to see, a good speedrun creator make a track, not this long, not like the 12 minutes long, but something more long like Evo did a track, like 5, 6 minutes. I
Mhm.
think something like that would be fun to see in TC.
Well, going back to some of the other track packs, have you gotten all of the track packs?
No.
You haven't
So
had any of them?
I still have not received my acorns from your
Oh,
tourney, so never bought them. Well, so I have a couple.
that just hurts my soul.
I've
How?
I've played. I don't know. I emailed them,
Red links,
but yeah,
please.
never happened. I played
Please.
the very first one, the Back to the Fusion one, which I was extremely disappointed with, and then okay. If I'm just gonna be totally honest about my opinion of the track patch, so they are a money grab. I think that they're low effort tracks, and I think that if you would have just put all of them into one DLC that was included in our season pass, then I'd be saying something different here. But unfortunately, they didn't. They made us buy a season pass, gave us 2 DLCs with it, and then they released these mini track packs that don't even count as store. So you see, they're by far the most uncompetitive tracks in the entire game. A lot of the lines are low effort, it feels like, and yeah, they're kind of just a money grab in my opinion, and
The
I don't really want to support them.
the only
So
one that I really support is the micro track. And do you think that that's the most low effort one out of the bunch?
probably, yeah.
But
That one is really bad.
I really like the concept of it, to be honest. I felt like I stuck with that one a lot longer. Like for me, back in the past with Fusion, I used to play, and I guess I still do that every now and then. But I'd play these like really short tracks. Like I'd try to do these 10-second or less tracks. Um, and it kind of brought me back to that. But it felt like the micro track was a lot more competitive, or at least I felt like I
Yep.
was more competitive on it
The
because
micro
I like
tracks
that.
were more notorious, I feel like, Container Crush, Container Rush, whatever the hell it's called. They got the
Yeah,
name wrong, so we can't know for sure.
yeah.
But I mean, that track is pretty notorious for how hard of a diamond is. However, can I say at the same time, as notorious as that track is, I think it's a piece of shit because they made a back wheel bounce that is not possible. Like, to this day, I don't think anyone has actually cleared that shit. Like, no one has made it to the top. Like, I don't know, if you're gonna put that in a track, at least make it
You know
possible.
what? I think we
Like,
finally have a full, like the full front, like the first 10 people got diamonds finally on it,
yeah.
like pretty recently. But you know, you look at all the replays, and what happens is you just like you wedge your front wheel as hard as you can into the corner, and just like hopefully the bike pops up. Who knows? Like
Yep.
it might
Yep.
it might just pop up perfectly in your back
Exactly.
wheel, and you might get it. But yeah, no, that one was a bit ridiculous. I think
Yeah.
compared with
Some of them were kind of fun, but
yeah,
yeah,
I think
not that
all the
one.
medium ones were insanely hard to get the diamonds on.
Yep.
Insanely hard. The hard ones, the hard difficulty, micro tracks, those were really good. I think those were like the sweet spot for me at least to get diamonds. I felt like I worked on those the most, and then the extreme ones were a little bit lacking. They were still fun to me, but I think the diamonds could have been upped just a tiny bit more with in comparison with the rest of them.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, all right. Let's see any other stuff with the. Oh, one more thing about the Gigatrack. Uh, I tried out the alpaca on it. Nova, I have no idea how you did that jump in the middle of it. That is so hard. It's like the part right after you do the planetarium after you jump over the sun. Dude, it is so difficult. I'll have to come back to it, but yeah, it's fun playing with all the different bikes on these tracks. And that's something else that I wanted to talk about is the longevity of this game. I know it's kind of controversial. Why aren't they fixing the game? They're adding all these weird bikes in instead, and that's been their priority. And at the same time, I think that uh, having the bike specific leaderboards was like a huge boost
Yep.
for the longevity of the game, and it really pushed like T for example getting a world record. It pushed T get that on Canyon Crash, and it's it's a fun goofy way to play the game, and that's just how I've enjoyed Trials
Yeah,
for a lot of it.
bike leaderboards were a really cool thing. I mean, there are so many people that have always, enjoyed playing something on Donkey or, whatever, and it's fun. I mean, they're not as competitive of leaderboards, but at the same time, to some people that makes it more fun. To some lower level players who might, not have a chance of usually getting first, to them, I think they get a real, it's fun to see your name first on a leaderboard, even if it's not an actual world record. I think there's still some level of enjoyment that you get, or some sense of pride that you get just by seeing that you're first, and
Hmm.
it definitely drives people to have fun with that type of competition.
Yeah, I gotta say that this last bike, the Tevatron, was probably the most frustrating bike I've ever played. Um,
Yeah,
it
I actually didn't buy the Tevatron, so I can't say I even know what it feels like.
what was
It's the
the
only bike I did not buy.
oh, so you got the King Crab as well?
Yep. Yeah, I have the tin crab because
What'd you
I
think of
heard
that
that it
one?
was free on Rodeo.
Oh
So
yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's okay. And speaking of which, have real quick, just with King Crab, has no one passed King Crab on Gigatrack yet? I know I saw a lot of people talking about that. I don't know if it's actually impossible or not, but
I
apparently there's
heard
some jump that's like crazy hard.
yeah, I heard it was like the checkpoint 60 or something really far into it was very difficult. I haven't tried it myself yet, but I saw in the trials um the the general Discord for trials that Elf was somebody who's like insanely good with the King Crab. Elf was I think zero faulting pretty much all the extreme tracks with it when it first came out, and got first on the leaderboard for King Crab on everything career wise. But yeah, I heard
Uh,
that it was somewhere around the 60 range was like really hard.
Nova's saying it's impossible as well, so I guess he's tried it.
Is it kind of like the
Anyways,
same jump
the
with Canyon Crash? How like you can't generate enough energy on that one part, you can't even coast it.
yeah, Nova, the volcano launch jump.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah, in terms of just how I feel about the king crab, I think it's okay. It's probably one of my least favorite bikes, I guess. It kind of feels a bit weird. I'm not a huge fan of the backwards. I only actually got it because I heard that it made like rodeo and stuff free, which it did. I PB'd rodeo by like 15 seconds on
It
my very first
it was also really good at
try.
Rocket Man.
But
it has like this agility
yeah,
with
it's
the
too
afterburner
good.
too. It's
It's
so hard to
it's
control.
literally yeah. Some of my friends and I were talking about this recently. That on Rocket Man, it seems like it should be better, but it's like it's too good. Like because you can't find a rhythm with it because it goes so
Yeah, you
far.
whip around 180 in like a split second. It's
Yeah,
insane. You just
yeah.
can't
That
control it.
shit goes so far. I don't know if someone can find a way to make that work. I think they could destroy a world record with that.
Yeah. Is it good with Speed Demon as well? It seems like it's been really good.
Or
I
oh
think
yeah,
with all of
Speed
these
Demon's what I
bikes,
was talking about.
like all these bikes,
Yeah.
now they're not meant to be competitive for speedrunning wise. I think Nova would say otherwise with the Alpaca because he got a diamond with like a few tracks, I believe. I'm not sure all the ones, but Nova was able to use the Alpaca to its fullest extent
Top
for
10 on one track on Alpaca.
yeah, like that's crazy. Like I don't feel like these gimmicky bikes should be able to do that,
Yeah.
and yet they're able to get these records on the all of
I will
the
just I
skill
will just say
games.
my one of my least favorite things in Rising is the Starb. I absolutely despise the Starb. It's the definition of a pay-to-win bike. It literally has a faster top speed, and they couldn't even make it a normal bike, man. If they just would have made it like a normal-looking bike, or that actually behaved normally, then I'd be fine with it. It replaced the Rhino, so be it. But
Hey,
like they had to make it like the least fun thing to play in the world.
I got a free diamond on Breaking Bad, so
Yeah,
I think
and
that's the only
yeah,
one I got it
it's
on.
a lot of people haven't tried with it. I mean, Kriz has pretty much all of the Starab world records. I guess he's the Starab king, although I will say I don't think a lot of the top players have really tried with Starab because, as I said, it's really just, it's not a fun bike. It is so bad.
Agreed, agreed. I only used it on Breaking Bad, and that's the fullest I'm gonna use, I think, with it.
No, I mean, I used it. I won't lie. I got like 1.4 seconds off my PB or something on Breaking Bad, but that doesn't mean I don't like it or don't dislike it just as I've used it.
Any other thoughts that you have on the track packs, the bikes in general?
um, Not particularly. I think the shopping cart was actually pretty fun, even
It's
though
such a meme though.
it's a
It's a
meme, but
meme.
that's what the bikes should be. They should. Oh, well, the fact that it can compete is bad, but what it was before it could compete was good. I don't like that it can get record. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
If you're in here, I love you, but I really. I'm not a fan of the fact that that bike has record on that track. And I mean, I'll give it to him, like because I don't think of T as a world record rider. Usually, I doubt on that, and I was like, "Is this crazy easy?" And it's not. Like that man is fucking good with that bike, man. It's hard. Like
It's
I don't know
it's hard
what
to
he's
keep the
doing, but
rider inside of the
it's
cart.
hard, man.
It's so hard to keep the rider inside the cart, especially when
I
you're
I
hauling
raged
ass.
off that in a couple minutes. I did not find it fun. So
The
yeah,
only redeeming quality I would say of the shopping cart are some of the ninjas that I played, and there was this one track where it was mandatory. You had to toss your rider out and hit checkpoints, like to do it properly. Like you had to drop
yeah.
slowly, so you had to like tip the cart backwards, so you'd fall out of it, and then like the cart had a mind of its own, so you could speed off without anybody in the cart still, and like you could like have your rider fly through the air and still you'd have to have like really good aerial control for this one track. It was hilarious. That was probably the most fun I had with the shopping cart was playing the ninjas with it. But I want to move along to one
Fun.
more. We got one more topic here that I want to discuss. Um, some of the top issues and fixes that have been plaguing both Rising and Fusion. There isn't too much to talk about with Fusion, but I do want to bring up one topic with it. Um, I think some of the biggest fix for me. I mean, it didn't even occur at first until the February patch rolled around, and then there was these freezing and stuttering issues that were happening on PC. We have gone over this time and time again. And for whatever reason, it came to PC. It was something that had been occurring on consoles for a long time, ever since, the start of the game. But the freezing and stuttering, finally, it got fixed again with, I can't even remember what patch it was. It was like in May? The May patch?
Yeah, it was May, I think.
That fixed it only on PC. I still hear rumors about people freezing and stuttering. They don't want to
Oh
play
yeah,
their game on PlayStation 4 and
yeah,
Xbox One, and it really it
yeah.
irks me to still
I
hear that
mean,
stuff.
if you want to confirm those rumors, all you got to do is watch one of Nova's streams. I mean, I would say he gets a freeze. He's on the absolute shittest console possible, which is the OG day one Xbox
Yep.
One. Which yeah, he gets freezes probably like once a minute. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know how he plays with them
How
that much. I mean, I've been playing on console forever too, so I've been experiencing them since day one as
how is
well, but
Nova
not
able
as
to get?
bad.
How's he able to be the three-time champ with doing that? Like,
It's
that's
beyond me.
crazy.
He's
How
he's just
consistent.
he's on another level. He can somehow live with it. I mean I know that the freezes is actually what pushed away Borad's from what I understand. Borad's I think from what he expressed he enjoyed the lines, but it was the freezing that finally made him essentially give up on Trials. And that's a sad thing. And the fact that Ubisoft and Red I don't know who to blame, but the fact that somehow that was allowed into the game is weird, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, with this last the Gigatrack it's basically the farewell of all the content that we'll be seeing with Rising, and that's kind of sad to see as well, but I sure hope that doesn't mean it's going to be the end of the patches and whatever, other updates that occur with the game, because
Yeah.
the freezing and stuttering for consoles is like still a top priority, um, that I want to see, that people don't come to the chat and say, "Oh yeah, I'm still having this problem. I still don't
Yeah.
want to play the game because it ruins the playability of it."
Yeah. I mean, if there were three things I could ask for them to do to Ryzen, I mean, as much as it does suck, I think that ninjas will never be quote unquote fixed. I think the magnet is not fixable, so I really don't think that would ever happen. But what I do think could happen is, first of all, I know it can happen, which is a timer in multiplayer. I enjoy multiplayer, I really do. But on Rising, it could not be less fun because first of all, we don't have a timer, and by the way, a timer can happen in multiplayer because if you say that I make a track and I invite you into the game to test it, there's a timer in multiplayer for some reason, only under that one specific circumstance,
Hmm.
which is really bizarre. So I would love to see that actually be in public multiplayer, and then as well, I would love to see a rating system that actually works. And then finally, the biggie we've been asking for it since day one, and it could happen, and that's stadium replays, man. If they brought stadium replays to the game, it would make the stadium leaderboards actually competitive. It would make people want to play stadiums. I mean, stadiums are currently probably the least competitive leaderboard
Yeah.
in the game behind
Agreed.
skill games.
Agreed.
And that's largely due to the fact that we can't see the fucking lines unless someone makes a YouTube video
Yeah,
on them.
and you shouldn't.
And it's
Hold
just
on. Yeah,
bizarre.
you shouldn't have to go onto a third party, like a website, go on a YouTube and have to look up like what a diamond line is supposed to look like. Like it should be right there. And having leaderboards on the pause menu, like where did
Yeah.
that go as well? I
I don't
just
know, man.
it
I mean,
it
yeah,
hurts.
as much as I do like Rising and I try and support it as much as I can, but a lot of the UI decisions and stuff that they made are just so unbelievably bizarre, man. I mean, and as Oris just made me almost more mad at them. I guess it would be one thing if they hadn't been. Apparently, the stadium replays are literally there, and they just won't let us watch them. I mean, it's. I don't know, man. And they have also described having no stadium replays as a quote unquote intended gameplay feature, which also just irks me.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't believe
I
that.
don't know, man.
Having replays for everything should just be a given at this point with Trials
Yeah.
lifespan. Really, I don't understand that. But I just want to emphasize. So this was a forum post. I'm not sure what the exact date was, but this was on the Red Links forums, and I just want to re-elaborate on some things, and this is a list of, you know, underlying issues that need to be acknowledged that I would love to see implemented, even though that this Gigatrack is the farewell to the content. I really hope some of these additions can be made with future patches. We already said stadium replays is one, leaderboards on pause menu, uh, offline records saving to leaderboards. What do you think about that one? I wasn't sure about this.
Um,
Offline records saving to leaderboard.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that would be good if there was somehow like a way to like save them. I think I only have one PB right now that is offline, and that's on fucking Iguazu. But and it's funny because Nova also has a offline world record on Iguazu. If you go to the Iguazu Rises leaderboards, you'll see that Gosly is first, but actually Nova has the world record.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think that would be good, but I can understand, like, if you're offline, it's not going to save to leaderboards. I feel like that's a more understandable thing than, like, stadium replays or something.
The only understandable
But,
thing about having it be offline and saving is because you have to play offline so your game doesn't stutter and freeze.
yeah,
That is
yeah,
one workaround that
that would
people
be
have been
great.
doing. So I
Yeah.
guess I understand it based on that, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
No,
like
I
the
mean,
only
it would
reason.
it would be great if they were, if there was anything that we could do to stop the freezing. And I swear the freezing wasn't this bad on day one as well. I think it somehow got worse over time. Because I remember like we had crazy lag on Nippon Springs and UK Upper, but I don't think we had it on like everything, and especially in Track Central. Like in career, your freezes you get are maybe like, or for me at least, they're like just a tenth of a second. But on Track Central, I get these crazy like 2 to 3 second freezes, and I even have one clip of me getting like a 20-second freeze in Track Central. I mean, it's
Really?
so weird.
Huh.
Yeah, no, Track
Strange.
Central on console is really, really bad.
I couldn't play any Zack tracks the when I started off, but I've talked about a bunch of that stuff already in the past. I don't want to beat Red Links with a dead horse right now. Because I mean we've talked about it so many times. I just want to let me keep going down this list, and then we can kind of jump in and kind of give our 2 cents on some of these. Um, Another one was spacing the scores would make it easier to read. I think that's like a really minor detail. I honestly haven't really noticed that.
One small thing that someone had mentioned earlier that I'd like to see is in every game, for some reason, they want to make the top page show less and less people, but having a top 10 on the top page makes sense, right? Having top 10.
Hmm.
But in this game, they decided to make it 9, which is like, so be it. It's top 9. However, if you're that person in 10th, you're going to get cucked because if you go to the next page, it shows 11th through 19th. So for some bizarre reason, instead of showing it
I
in
did not know
10s,
that.
they show it in 9s and then just exclude 10, 20, 30, 40, and you can't find them unless you scroll up. So yeah, it's bizarre.
I did not
That's
know that.
another just yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I mean, I can tell you that because
Strange.
it's like it's so weird. Because sometimes I'll be looking for someone, and I'll go through all the pages, then all of a sudden I realize, oh, they're probably like 10th, and they are, and you just don't see them when you're scrolling through.
It's the little details, man. It's these little things. They add up. They really do. Moving right along. Next one. Let's do playtime only counting while playing tracks. So this is something like it says I almost have 3,000 hours played on Rising, and I swear I've left my game on like multiple days, like probably a good week's worth. I've left my game on just overnight, and it's just a minor detail. But my addition to this would be, I mean, it would be really cool to have a built-in in-game timer for when you're building a track, and that you can keep track of like your progress for tracks would be, uh, just another little detail added on. Could be really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. And then
I've always
like
wondered about how long I take on
the
stuff for
in-game
building.
hours. The in-game hours would be really nice as well because yeah, like Jitters just said, and like you said, a lot of people have tons and tons of extra hours just because on Xbox it's even more crazy. It's not just leaving your game on. So on Xbox, if you like turn off your Xbox without quitting out of the game, it still counts your time played even when your Xbox is off,
Hmm.
which is really crazy. And that's why some people like Jitters has like an insane amount of hours because he just like never quits out of the game and it just keeps
Yeah,
racking it up.
it's not a very accurate number to look at. If you guys ever look at, like, if you're on, your Uplay account and you go to see your game time played, it's not very accurate along with the Xbox Game Hub. So don't just take that with a grain of salt with
Yeah.
the time on there. Um, this would be sweet, but I don't see this being implemented. A rewind feature with
Yeah.
watching replays.
There are
Rewind
just so
features.
many of these features that were in Fusion that were good that they got rid of in Ryzen that I don't understand it, man. As I said, I love the game and I try and support it, but they do so many weird things.
But what hurts me even more is the slow mo is gone. It's you just have to pause over
Oh
and
yeah,
over
the
again.
slow-mo.
The slow mo was a big one. That helped me understand techniques better when I was watching replays of ninja tracks, and it makes it quite difficult to, like, you know watch to see the inputs, because watching the inputs is very important, I think, to learning either speedrunning or ninjas. Like, it's a very integral part of the game, and slow mo was huge. Really like to see that come back
Yeah,
somehow, some way.
yeah,
Um, More toggle options when viewing replays. For example, only a timer. Um,
yeah. That'd be nice.
you good? Console only
Yeah.
leaderboards for PS4 and PC. What do you think about
Yeah.
that one? Just being able
Um.
to segregate, like,
s-
where each
Yeah.
console having
That
leaderboards, I guess, would be
that would be
a nice
very nice
feature.
because on Xbox, for example, you can just like turn off crossplay altogether to see Xbox leaderboards. But if you could just filter by console, that'd be very very nice.
Hmm.
I'd be curious to see who the top Switch player is.
Next thing is splits actually showing all milliseconds.
um. Yeah. I will. I mean, I guess it depends how many milliseconds they want to go to, because I mean, so long as it that's one thing that this game has over Fusion as well, because Fusion had like such low score from, and I never understood why it happened in Fusion. Maybe some people did, but yeah, I now understand that there are some tracks where you'll see that you'll be ahead of someone and you'll be like 2 milliseconds slower, and that's because you're like allocated the same score. And I never realized that on Fusion, but at least on Rising, they always dedicated like each millisecond. I think it's like 4 score or something. So every time that you get a millisecond up on someone, you're not going to be behind them like you were in Fusion.
Hmm. Big D actually brought up one that I was just about to talk about, a mode where all checkpoints are turned off, so it's a quick way to restart for speedrunners. I think
Yep,
that's
that's great.
such a good idea, to just be able to hit B and not have to have the little countdown at the beginning
Yep.
of tracks. Would be sweet for speedrunners. Just these micro adjustments, that quality of life. People could speedrun a lot more without wasting as much time at the beginning.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I think that could be very nice. People have been asking for that for a long time.
Next one would be split staying on screen until the next one appears.
Uh,
Does that not
I
always
mean,
happen? Oh, I noticed it with
uh,
ninjas, actually.
I mean,
I noticed that with ninjas because the checkpoints are a lot
yeah,
longer, and the split does go away after a certain amount of time. I would like to have it stay up for that.
yeah. Maybe for ninjas, it'd be nice. For speedrunning, I don't really
I don't think it matters
mind
as
it that
much
much.
for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you get CPs like once every couple seconds, anyways.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't.
We'll put that more on the ninja oriented side. This is a big one for me. I've talked about this quite a bit in the past, but an option to move the controller overlay, and then I'm gonna add even more on top of this, and to just be able to move all the overlay features, like the track name and difficulty, to wherever you want it to, would be really cool.
Yep,
Because the
yeah, that would be,
problem,
especially like as a streamer.
yeah, especially when you're streaming, the biggest issue that I run into when you're playing a climb track, for instance, the wheel, like the back wheel, will get covered by the track name the track difficulty, or even the inputs of the controller.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So if
Yeah, I did not know that. I don't play with track name on, so I haven't noticed that. That's
mhm.
terrible though. So really, like the actual name will cover your wheel.
Yeah, so it covers your wheel
That's
completely.
horrible. Wow.
Now I don't know where I would place it because I always put my face in like the event list over on the bottom right. Um, maybe in the top right, I guess would be the next best spot for me. But yeah, just being having the option to move it wherever you want to would be such a nice feature to it.
Yeah.
Next one. We already said disable checkpoints. Fixing the distance ridden bug. I've seen that one quite a bit pop up. I mean that's a minor detail to me, but it is a weird bug that has occurred where like it'll say you have billions of,
Yeah.
distance kilometers driven.
And that there is a relatively easy fix to that, which is you just have to PB the track that caused the glitch. Now, of course, for some people, they don't know what track that is. So, take Nova, for example. He has been trying to PB every old run he has for so long to try and fix his thing, but he still has it, unfortunately. So, we've been making jokes that it might be his one run on Monster Mash X Cross, which is the oldest world record in the entire game, and it's been standing since like March 18th or something of last year. So it's been standing for a crazy long time. But yeah, all you got to do is PB.
Um, we let's emphasize at the end. Please put a timer in multiplayer. Please, please, please. The next one is the ability to watch replays of tracks you made in the editor. I thought this was an interesting one. I never thought about this. Watching a replay of
Um,
a track you made in the editor.
so what, like when you cross the finish line, being able to like rewatch your replay?
Yeah, I guess before you upload it is what they're getting at.
Yeah. I suppose that'd be nice. I don't think that's super necessary, but
Yeah,
that'd be
it's
nice.
yeah, just a little minor thing, a minor non-priority detail. And then I want to talk about Fusion. So there was a problem on Fusion for like a month straight, or was it even longer than that, where Fusion Shared was completely broken. Where I was on PC, I couldn't play any tracks that were made by any Xbox or PlayStation players. Uh, it was at the beginning of June, and I think it was fixed like, or actually no, it was broken since the beginning of June, and it got fixed. I can't remember when, but yeah, it felt like it was about a month, and also the customization was all um busted up for it as well. Like people couldn't use any of their costumes that they had bought for, was it like all throughout May, it might have been.
Yeah, I'm not. I'd seen people posting about it a lot. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get on the game during that time, so
But all
wasn't quite
that
sure.
all that was fixed recently, so I just wanted to like re talk about like the problem that occurred. I don't know how it happened. It was unfortunate because at the time I was starting to really get back into Fusion, and yeah, there was just no tracks that I could play from the other consoles for a while. Unfortunate. One feature that I would like to add, and I've talked about this in streams before. You guys will probably, you know, you guys will recognize this, but adding the ability to comment after completing a track. Now, I know this might be a little controversial, and this could breed a lot of toxicity, especially if you're doing ninja tracks that are very hard. But I still think that there should be a way, even if it's like a Mario Maker style of template, where there are a specific amount of words or phrases that you can use to like kind of get your point across. The critical
Yeah.
feedback is so important, and I know that not everybody goes into a private multiplayer session to test out their tracks. So I think that some way of being able to communicate, uh, having critical feedback, it would be amazing to see.
Yeah.
But
No, I think that'd be nice. Even if it was just like a little quick chat system. I
yeah,
mean, some people might use it in a passive aggressive toxic way, but I don't know. I think it'd be good.
yeah, you'll get people on both spectrums being able to, even if it's a template, like I just want some way to be able to communicate to builders because I can't communicate to everybody on Discord and give them my 2 cents on like, what works, what doesn't work. And lastly, an addition that needs to be made to Rising is the favorites list. It still doesn't show everything. It still doesn't, like, I think I only have a maximum of like 59 tracks that I can favorite, and I favorited hundreds, and it's really unfortunate to see that because I forget a lot of them. I know that there's ways of looking up tracks and going into onto Ninja Central and being able to check out tracks that way, but I don't think that there should be a third party necessary to like re-look up tracks that you've played in the past, and I really want that favorites list to be unlimited, not
Yeah,
just not just scaled down.
I
I still don't know
really
how it's
don't
stuck.
understand it. I don't. I mean, I tried going and playing some private MP with some of my friends a little while ago, and I literally couldn't even find the tracks I wanted to. And I know that that very reason is why one of their biggest people playing trials, which is Captain Sparkles, even if you guys don't like him, Ubisoft probably liked him. He was good promotion for them, and they don't even play Rising because of that exact bug, because they could not figure out how to get like new tracks into their custom multiplayer. Which, yeah, it's a weird thing.
I do appreciate how you can actually type it in and like search up tracks, but like the favorites just they aren't there. There's only 59 for me. I don't know if everybody else is the same, but it's a limit. There's a limit to them. There's no way that there should be a limit. I know on Fusion there was you get up to what 999 favorites, and then it
Yep.
said you couldn't add any more to it. Like that'd be great too.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
on Fusion,
even
even though
that
there
amount's okay.
was a limit, it was very clear that you know you're scrolling through your favorites and you can see exactly how many you have. On Rising, you just have this weird sideways UI where you go through like 15 tracks, and then it's like, well, where the hell are the rest? And then it's just confusing.
Yeah, Big Dark Side brought up something. I think we've talked about this before. Um, Probably with it was either with Slick or some other builders that we've had on the podcast, but being able to rate tracks again with 5 stars. What do you think about that, Panda? It was back at the Evo days. You could rate it out of 5.
Um,
Would you like that more than just
it
the up, down, or skip?
I mean, it sounds good. I'll be honest. I mean, I have like 3 hours played on Evo, so I didn't really see. Like, can you kind of explain briefly, like, how was it just like an average of the stars and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, it would just be an average.
Because yeah, because I think the like dislike system on Rising is actually one thing I do like more than Fusion. Fusion's weird like bar thing, like where if you got one dislike, it like hammered it. I didn't like that.
Hmm.
So if it was like a star system, it would seem better. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess Rising has had the same problem where if a track doesn't like take off within its first like 3 days of being out, then it will never be played by anyone. So I don't know. They somehow need to figure out a way to fix that.
Yeah, and I noticed a big problem with the rating system with the tracks that would be promoted to the world map is they were just based on the amount of upvotes they got. They I don't think they took into consideration. I haven't looked at it recently, but it really it got to me, and I actually um, wrote to a couple people about it. That's like it really kills the vibe of Track Central if people are looking up these tracks that end up making it to the world map because of just how many upvotes they got. And like they could have a ratio of like, oh, it's 1,000 upvotes, but 900 and something dislikes on it, and it will still possibly make it to the world map. Um, I haven't
Yeah, it's
noticed
crazy.
anything recently, so maybe they adjusted some sort of algorithm with that model, but that bugged me for a very long time, and I had to definitely type my frustrations out to people, and now I like to tell everybody else about it. How I just don't feel like that's a
All
great
in
model with the
all,
ratio of upvote
yeah,
downvote.
all in all, I did, at least as a track creator, I felt as though it was easier to have people play my tracks on Rising than Fusion. Now, maybe that was just I was making fucking dog shit on Fusion, but I don't know. On Fusion, I felt like, uh, the best example of it for me was that I uploaded a track and it got like 8 likes and like 2 dislikes within the start, and then and it like never got played by anyone again. Then I re-uploaded it again and it got 30 likes before it got its first dislike, and then that one like got a ton of likes and ended up with like 500 or something. So it really is just kind of that luck of right at the start. And if you get a couple dislikes, then boom, it's just MIA. No one will ever see it again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Being able to put all the tracks into groups like in Fusion, so you have to search, or so you don't have to search the globe for a track. Wait, what do you mean by that? All the tracks into
What do you?
groups like in Fusion. I'm just reading a quote by since 97. Put a comment in the chat. Being able to
Forest.
being able to put all the tracks into groups like in Fusion. Don't have to search the globe. I'm pretty sure that. I mean, you could filter a lot on the world map. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. You can filter by difficulty. You can
Oh,
filter by the
how
type of group that it's in.
how do you feel about TC tracks being on the world map?
I like it a lot, but they need to be reviewed more because there's been too many
Yeah,
like troll tracks. Um,
that's my.
but it's a great promotion, I think, for
I
Track
think that
Central that can
first of
show
all,
people.
if a track makes it on there, I think it should be a more permanent thing that it is. Like, for example, something like Neo New York, I think deserves to stay there for months. I mean, it's a track that is better than a lot of the career tracks.
Hmm.
I mean, it just is. And that's something that deserves to be there. However, you get a lot of these tracks with zero deco. They might as well be a my track with maybe an extra hour of effort put in, and then they're on there and I don't know. I think that really detracts from the whole purpose of even having it.
Oh, I understand what they're meaning about grouping. It'd be cool to have a list as well. We've talked about that in the past of just having a list instead of having to like navigate this cursor and like accidentally click on these clusterfuck groups of tracks right next to each other. It'd be really cool to have a list, be able to filter
Yeah.
by lists of stuff, and yeah. Do I know if Zach will be back in the editor? I haven't heard from Zach in a long time. That's a great question, Gus. I haven't heard from him. I sure hope Zach comes back eventually. Either for a competition, help me judge like he did in the past, or maybe build something. But no, I haven't heard from Zach. Long time. Miss that guy.
Yeah. Ascension 2 was kind of like his last thing, then he just disappeared.
Yep. Well, you guys, we didn't quite get through everything. We got through a lot of stuff, but I think that is we're gonna be concluding the stream here in just a second, man. But I am really glad that
Alright.
again I had Panda on the podcast. Any other stuff? Any other shout outs or things that you want to say to conclude this podcast episode?
Uh, um, not that I can think of. Just thanks for having me. Glad that you're bringing these podcasts back. I remember I used to watch them, before I was really involved in the community at all. I always thought they were cool, so glad to get the chance to be on one with you.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're part of the community, Panda, and hope to see some more world records or whatnot coming out of you and some more commentating.
Yep, for sure.
Everybody that's in the chat, thanks for joining us today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope we brought up some good topics. Let me know, either in my stream or in the YouTube video. I'll eventually post this probably in a day or two of this VOD, and some other topics that we can discuss. Either covering what happened in the past over the past year that we might have not covered, or things in the future that you might want to see, and everything in between. But have a great rest of your day or night, everybody, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
See you.